Hey Anchor Point Church, my name is Ryan Prieb. I'm the youth director here. Just wanted to share a few thoughts with you today. I've been reflecting a lot on Psalms 24. It says this at the beginning of it: "The earth is the Lord's, and everything in it. The world and all its people belong to Him. For He laid the earth's foundations on the seas, and He built it on the ocean depths." A couple of days ago, my daughter Janelle and I were hiking around the volcanoes, just out by Double Eagle Airport, having a great time, enjoying the beauty around us, trying to keep our social distancing. And it was amazing that as we're walking around and we can hear the crunch, crunch, crunch of the gravel beneath our feet, at certain points along the path, we would just stop, take a drink from our water bottles, and as we would stop, we would notice almost immediately the utter silence that isn't necessarily always like that. We hike that trail all the time, and I'm up there a lot. It's just a wonderful place to walk around, and it was so quiet, and it was so serene, and it was so beautiful. It was, we couldn't even find a cloud in the sky. It took a while until eventually we saw one tiny solitary cloud way out toward Hemis. Couldn't hear an airplane, couldn't hear cars driving around, and usually we could hear some kind of city noise in the background, but really it was just the breeze. And it was beautiful in its serenity, and beautiful to look around at God's handiwork in creation. But then I turned and I looked over the city, and that silence of creation and the serenity for me became silence of fear, anxiety, a quiet city where we had to look hard enough to see any cars driving around. And I could just imagine people holed up in their homes and holding themselves again in terror, in fear, and anxiety, in the what ifs and the what now of life. Now, this verse again, "The earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all its people belong to Him," was reflecting through my mind as we were hiking around, looking at all of this. And as I looked out over the city, I considered all the people and all the people around us, that they are His. They belong to Him. See, the focus in the verse, though, isn't creation. It's not even us. It's not the world. It ultimately is God. It's the Lord. He's the center. He's the creator. He's the beginning. He's the impetus. He's the focus. And the world's people belong to Him. Now, James 1 goes on to say that out of all this creation, out of everything that God's ever created, we became His prized possession. And that is just amazing to consider, that it's not like some bobblehead collector who collects these trinkets, who likes to tap on the bobbleheads and watch them bounce around and delights in amusement, or any other collector who just puts things on a shelf and admires them from a distance. No, God doesn't collect like that, and God's not a collector, and we're not that kind of possession. We're His prized own possession. We are given a job, we're given a role, we're given a purpose. 2 Corinthians says it this way. What's our role? What's our purpose? It says, "For God in Christ reconciling the world to Himself, no longer counting people's sins against them," He gives us this wonderful message of reconciliation. We are ambassadors. We're Christ's ambassadors, and we speak for Christ when we plead, "Come back to God." What's our role? We're ambassadors. We're message bearers. The message of the good news of God calling all people to Himself. And we speak for Christ when He says, "I love you. What you could never do, I have done. I have paid the price you couldn't pay. Come find me. Come to me. Turn around. Find healing. Find wholeness. I love you." So we carry this message as Christ's ambassadors. Well, Proverbs 13 in the Message, and I love the way the Message puts it, says, "Irresponsible talk makes a real mess of things. But a reliable reporter is a healing presence. So we get to be that reliable reporter for Christ, on Christ's behalf, that we get to carry this message of healing, of wholeness, of hope that he brings in a time full of fear, full of anxiety. So isn't it amazing that we get to be used by God, that we get to be his instruments of healing? Because again, it's not about me, it's not about you, it's not about what he's created or us. Again, ultimately, it's about God. He is still our center. He is still our focus. He is still our beginning and our end. He is our hope. So, beloved, when you feel anxious, and when you feel lost, and when you see the lostness and the hurting and the brokenness around you, look up to the Lord. Look up to the one you belong to as his prized possession. Look up to the one who called you and gave you his message of healing to share to those around you. Because the earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all its people, belong to him. Stay safe, trust in the Lord, and we love you.